Hello there, this is my medieval dynasty village building guide video. So when I build a village, I like to make it huge. And on top of that, I like my people to have good skills. For example, if you look at all the children that have been born, look at all these skills. I mean, there's a couple twos here, and your own child is always born with good stats, but these are pretty awesome stats. So how do I get this? Well, I always start a game. If you go to custom gameplay or custom game right here, you can change a lot of the settings. So first of all, I put the taxes on half and put the building limit on 200%. So I'm getting double the buildings but half the taxes. Otherwise the taxes are going to kill you. And you can change this. I usually do change all this after I've played for a little while and I want the game to be more normalized. But at the beginning, especially when I'm trying to build a huge town, this is what I do. And if you click all these, you pretty much are invincible, which is good when you're just trying to build the city and you don't care about gameplay. And again, I'll turn these off later, but unlimited carry weight's really important. Otherwise, you're going to be trying to build a city 5 logs at a time until your backpack's full. Fast crafting is really good too, because this one lets you build 1,000 roasted meat at once or whatever. These are important when you're trying to build a big city quickly as well. I put all these multipliers for XP on like 500% because otherwise it takes forever to unlock the tavern. And to me, the tavern's an important part of the city layout because I like to have one centralized because it makes the village feel more realistic. And it takes forever to unlock. And so you're trying to leave a hole in the middle of your village and build around it, but you have no idea the exact dimensions that are going to fit the tavern. So I like to unlock everything as quickly as possible. Length of days, I got it now back down to 3, but I like to keep it at 30, which is pretty awesome. The rest of this doesn't matter. Okay, so length of days at 30 is pretty awesome for 2 reasons. One, villagers level up their skills by doing the task. And if you have it at the default of 3, after 3 days, they might go up, say, 1 skill point. So in an entire year, they might go up 4 skill points. But if you put it on 30, they might go up per season 4, 5, 6 skill points. And then for the entire year, they could go up 30 skill points. So I like to do that first. And the other second thing that's really good about this is after 3 or 4 days, when you go to sleep, it actually will unlock the option to go to the next season, even though you haven't hit 30 days yet, which is great. So I'll start off in spring. At the very beginning of the game, I'll put all these settings as I just showed you, and I'll have it on 30 days. And so the first thing I'll do is you got to build your own house, and then you have to chop some trees or whatever to get through the storyline. Otherwise, even at 200% build capacity, you still only can do like 10 buildings or something at the beginning. And then one of the early quests is survive a season. And so you have to actually skip to the next season. And it'd be miserable to sit there for 30 days with 10 buildings. So you sleep, you go to summer, and then you can do the full 30 days of summer because the rest of the quests you can all do at once. For the chapter quests anyway. For the story quests, some of them you have to sit there and wait for go to the next summer, go to the next season or whatever. So when I build, this is just something I like that doesn't really matter, but I like to have a tavern, some seating area. This is the first seating area I had because I didn't have the tavern unlocked, and then just at nighttime they'll kind of congregate here. But I like to have roads spaced out, and if I didn't have the tavern unlocked early, then I would have no idea exactly how big I could make that spot. So I just kind of had to wing it. So as far as skills go, let's see who I've got that's pretty new. All right, so when you recruit somebody, they're going to look something like this guy right here. A couple ones maybe, or this guy right here. 3 1s, 2 2s, and a 3 on their stats. Okay, and that 3 is only because I've got them working to upgrade that right now. So at the beginning, I'm going to get 20 people or whatever it is. So you got to build a house, one house for each of them. You don't want to double them up because they'll get married and have kids. You don't want that to happen. So you got to have one house per person. And then just put them working, doing whatever it takes. So for this guy, for example, his hunting skill is a 1, so I'm going to make him a hunter until his skill is a minimum of a 3. And then I'm going to move him, well, marketplace you might not have unlocked right away. So then I'd put him as some kind of worker until his skill gets to at least a 3. And so I want all their skills to be at minimum of 3, but I prefer to get them all like a 4 at least. And then they can specialize and get that skill up to a 10. So some of the people I've had for longer, like this one, well, they're a mother right now, so they're not getting their skills up anymore, but 3s, a couple 5s, and a 7. Or, let's see, like this one, 5, 3, 4, 4, 3, 10. So I like their skills to be at minimum of 3, but preferably a 4 to 5. You don't want it to be a 10 at everything. You could if you want, but that would be pointless because they'll only have one job, and it would take forever. But as you can see, with the children, with those all these high stats, only a couple 2s, mostly 3s, 5s, 4s. You're only going to get children of this quality by having first parents of high quality. So I'll sit there for the entire summer for all 30 days, and I'll just level up their skills every day. So if you go to your management here with your buildings, so there's 2 ways you can do it. So if you just have everybody here on this screen, and you sort by profession, you can just scroll down, okay? And a lot of these are not good examples. Okay, for this guy. So if I'm early in the game using the technique I was just talking about, this guy has now achieved a 3 in farming. This guy is still a 2 in farming. So this 3 in farming guy, I'll click him, I'll click here, and if I push X, it'll cancel him from his job, okay? Actually, I want to cancel him from his job. No, I don't. Well, normally I would cancel somebody. As you can see, this is called Barn to Training. If you go to anything like this mine and hit H by default, you can enter any custom name you want, and it's good for labeling. And I'll get into that in a minute. But generally, somebody like this, I would cancel them by hitting X here. And then when I go through and sort by profession again, let's pretend these aren't children. All right, well, this guy's got a 2, so I'm going to give him a farming job, or I'm going to give him a diplomacy job to get that 2 out of the way. This guy's a 2, so I'm going to give him a crafting job. So for the first couple seasons, I'll just keep going through like this every day. All right, this hunter's a 2, he's going to stay. This hunter's a 3, so I'm going to kick him out of his job. And I'm going to move him, once I kick him out of the job, the way this is sorted, he'll go back up to the top as having no profession, this little line. And then after I kick everyone out of a job that has obtained a 3 or a 4, then I'll go through here and see who needs what. And I may end up with somebody like this who's like, they don't have any more 2s, but they need a job, so I'll give them either a farming job or a survival job to get that 3 up to a 4. And I'll just keep doing that till everybody is where I want them to be. And like I said, nobody getting married, no one doubling up in a house, no kids, nothing but skills. And of course, what you're doing the rest of this time is just you keep building, upgrading houses, building new shops, expanding, whatever. After 2 seasons or so, you'll have the first 20-ish. I don't remember exactly how many it was, but something like the first 20 people, you'll have them all exactly where you want them to be. Now you can start moving them in and specializing what you want them to do. So the way I have this town set up, this is a workshop. I've got 2 food buildings, whatever you call them, kitchens. 2 blacksmiths. So this one, you can see it says Smithy 3 tools. So I labeled this one tools, and this one I labeled as bars. So this person right here, if you go, you can go to the sign of the building and hit E for manage, or you can go through the whole list and find the one you want. You can see I've got this girl, 8 skill in blacksmithing. All she does is make iron bars once you get up to that point. At first you're going to have to get copper and tin, but once you get up to the point of iron from the mines, she makes nothing but bars. And you can see she's making 46 per day, and that amount will go up as her skill goes up. So she's an 8. When she hits 9, it'll be even higher. Over here, this person makes nothing but tools, and he's a 10. So fishing spears, I don't use very many. So I put that at 5%, which is going to make 0.6 per day. So in one season, which is 3 days currently, he's going to make 1.5. But as long as he makes 1 per season, that's enough to keep up with the 1 fisherman I have, or even 2. Pickaxe, I've got a lot of miners. He can make 2 per day. So in one season, he'll make 6. Hammer, not too many people use a hammer. The builder, the blacksmith, maybe someone else. Not too many, and they don't break that often. So 10% is for him is making about 1 a day. So I actually had to go through and figure out how much of these I need per day and what the minimum amount of percent I could put. And I always like to keep everything, you could have it as a 9. What's the big difference? Not much. She's still going to make 1 per day. I just like even numbers. But the other thing you look at is this scythe is 4 bars. He's making 1 a day. So that's 4 per day. Another 4, 1 a day. So that's 8. 2 knives, that'll be another 4, so 12. And once you do that for all these, you add up exactly how much iron bars you're using per day, approximately. And then you make sure that the output of this person can match or be close to the output for the other person per day. Okay? And then a couple other things. This guy needs a linen thread, a stone, a log, another log, a stick. Excuse me. So the output of logs and sticks is really pretty low. But, of course, you still want to, after you get through all your production places, you want to make sure that your woodcutters are matching that. So this one, Workshop 3, beer and plates. Oh, actually, where am I going? I need to go here. So right now I don't have a worker because of the way I'm doing things. The worker that would be in this building is still training. And I have plenty of plates and stuff currently, so I can just make those myself for right now. So this building is only going to make some things, because if I had them making all the things I needed in one spot, it would be like 10%, 10%, 1%, 1%, and the output wouldn't be very high. So I have 2 of these buildings. So this one's focusing on beer and bean bottles, plates, wooden vials, and buckets, all of which I need. And even though there's no worker, so this is a 0, if there was a worker on here, I've already set these to where they're going to give me an output number that's going to be about what I need for the overall village. This is the other place that I have called Wine and Bowls. So this place is only making 2 things, wine bottles and bowls, but I have 2 taverns, I believe, that are making wine. So I need a lot more wine bottles. And again, you set the production level to match what you actually need. I've got 2 kitchens here. I didn't label them because they're both making the same thing. 2 workers, and they're just making a little bit of meat because for this meat with gravy, it needs 1 roasted meat, and they're making about 10 per day. So I need this to be about 10 per day, give or take. So that's making 15 about, and I need 10. So that covers it. Of course, the onions, carrots and cabbages are coming from the farmers, but you can see I'm making about 10 bowls each of this per day at both of these places. I have one more kitchen. Let's see, right here. What? Oh, that only has one person. Okay. Sometimes what I end up doing is having this dude's wife is probably, or not this one. This dude's wife is probably the other cook, and she's pregnant, so, or she's a mother right now, so she quit her job. This place right here, this place is doing nothing but fish and meat. So I don't need this much meat because the other places cover the meat that I need for the stew or whatever it was. So this is just bonus meat. Now, if I go to my food storage here, I've got a lot of cabbages, carrots, fish, but I don't have very much. Where's there's a little stew, but where's the pottage and the other one? They're not here. I think that the villagers eat those first. And so they're producing them, but the village is eating them pretty much right away. One thing that I like to do manually is check this every once in a while, and like this has 20 fish meat at 50%. Once it starts to get lower than that, it starts to be poisonous to eat. So I'm going to take those and just go cook them manually. Where's the door? Just to keep everything fresh. And eventually I might sell some of that stuff, but I've got plenty of money at this point and I don't need to. But once stuff I get, sometimes I might have like 2,000 meat in there. And at that point it's never going to be eaten, so I'll just go sell it. But I actually have one of my vendors selling roasted meat. So, see, I've got like 1,400 roasted meat at 75%. So once that hits 50%, I'm gonna go probably sell all of it because I still have so much extra stuff. But I've got the food vendor right here. Actually, I could have him. Why did I change these numbers? See, depending on how good their skill is, he's a 10. So at one point I had this roasted meat way higher, but it was selling like 500 a day, and I was going to run out quickly, which really wouldn't be a huge deal. So I switched it. So he's selling like 200 meat. Oh, I remember what I did. So the output of my hunters was giving me like 240 meat per day or something like that. And I only needed to use like, I don't know, I'll just say 40 meat per day or something like that to make enough roasted meat to make the bowls, the soup bowls or whatever. So I can sell 190 and I'll never run out of meat per day. I think that's why I did that. Anyway, you go into the, I'll go over to markets later, so I'm not just jumping all over the place. So back to production stuff. So that covered food, workshops, iron, smithy, whatever. The last one is the sewing hut. I only have one of these because right now I don't have that much that I care about. So I make as much linen thread as I can. I already used all the flax stock. So next year I'll have like 1,400 flax stock. I actually just manually crafted it all because I was doing something. But they'll make a little bit of linen fabric. Now you don't want this number to be too high because he's making 3.5 per day. And you're going to run out of thread pretty quickly if that's too high, because a lot of these, this needs fabric, but this needs more thread than fabric. This one needs thread. So if you end up with like 200 fabric and 0 thread, you're not going to be able to make very much. Just for realism, I changed and had him made some actual clothes at around a half per day, 0.6, 0.7. I have this making 1.5 to 2 bags per day, which is enough to supply my farmers. But the money maker, not really the money maker, like as far as like value, because these are all higher, but these fur boots are pretty cheap, or fur shoes. 10 fur and 8 leather per day. So I want that to be as high as I can get away with, almost 12 per day, because that's what I'm selling at the vendor. So that's the reason that one's high versus anything else. The rest is just realism. If you just want pure money, just put 100% into fur shoes. You don't need anything else. And then just have your vendor sell fur shoes all day. In fact, I can go show you that right now. So that's it for crafting. So the important things to know for crafting are you have to have enough base material coming from like your mines or whatever, and you have to have enough, for example, the way I have 2 smithies, one making only bars, enough to supply the other guy who's making only tools. 2 crafting places, splitting what they're specializing in, so that I have enough of each. And the food places, you're never going to, like, once you get big and you have a huge farm, you're never going to be able to cook it all. So realistically, you just need enough to make sure people don't starve. Unless you want to sell food as like a, you know, there's no, you can do whatever you want in this game, but if you want to make it somewhat realistic, a village is going to usually specialize in one thing, right? Or 2 things. They're going to specialize in mining, and they're just going to sell raw iron, or they're going to specialize in cattle and just sell nothing but, well, you can't really get away with it in this game as it currently is. Well, I guess you could. If you just made like 10 sheep pens, conceivably each season you would get at least 10 new babies, right? And so you could sell 10 per season, and that might actually give you enough money to cover everything. So I guess you could make a livestock village. Or if you want to make a food village, you could add more kitchens so you could make enough output to actually sell it in a place like that. Which one were we talking about? Oh, clothes. So she's just selling nothing but boots. So you can see she's selling 13 per day, 13 and a half per day, making me 1,150 gold or whatever coins per day. So she can sell 13 per day. And I'm going to have to go all the way back over here because I don't remember what the output of shoes per day is at this other place. Alright, actually I guess I didn't have to run over here. I could have just clicked over here. But anyway, shoes per day is about 13. So that actually is going to be pretty good. So I'll make 13 and sell 13 every day. Not bad. And that'll go down because this girl is pregnant and she's my better one at 10. So that actually might cut in half until she's done giving birth and being a mother, which I might move somebody else over there. I like to keep everything organized. So that's crafting, output, markets. Now if you look at my houses, I've labeled them. That one doesn't have a label. Why doesn't it have a label? It's supposed to. Okay, so tools. This is where my tool blacksmith lives. This is where my bar blacksmith lives. Chef 2, chef 1, etc., etc. So I have them labeled. And I like to do that, keep organized. So you zoom into the village here. I think this house is called the winemaker because I have a tavern right here that makes nothing but wine. This one I think is called like the, I don't know, the farmer guy or something, and this was called like the orchard guy or something. And anyway, these two end up working in this barn as the barn workers that make, actually I'll go over barns here in a minute too. They make stuff. And then these houses, because I'm trying to make it somewhat more realistic, these are big houses because these guys are rich. These are small houses because these guys are just poor workers. So these 3 are farm hands. So they're the farmers working on the fields, which are right here. This one I think is like a cattle rancher or something because I've got these ranches right here that they, I mean, technically they're mucking the poop and feeding the cows by hand like a poor farm worker, but you don't really have a rancher per se, so I'm just pretending. So the rancher husband and wife live here, and they run the cows and the pigs. We got the horses here, so this is the horse guy. So him and his wife, one works here, one works here. So you see how I like to label everything, because when I start looking through here, it makes things a lot easier for me when I have 56 houses to know who's who. If there's no label, more than likely they're just a in training or a backup person. Like this person, they're only a 2, so they're probably in training to be something better than they are for later expansion. Speaking of training, let's see. Let me turn these houses off. Okay. So I have a lot of labels on here. This well and this one too. These are for me only. I don't need more than one person making water for the village. This person, they're not good at anything, and they're 25 years old, which is, to me, about the cutoff for being too old for me to invest time into you. Okay? So their skills are not too good, and they're just making buckets of water every day. I'm probably never going to run out with just one well. These 2 wells are a combination of cosmetic, because you need a well in the middle of the village, and just being convenient. If I ever need water for myself or for some reason to supply the village, I can just go from the supply shed to the well and then put the buckets in the food storage and be done with it. This is another one because I hated running. So this woodshed up here is like my outside the town poor area with smaller houses and nothing but like hard laborers. This one is what I pretend and labeled as the lumber mill. So the one over here does nothing but chop logs. The one over here makes your planks and firewood. This one says me only. I didn't want to run all the way across the map when I needed more planks, so I just put one over here for convenience. So my main mine, I've got houses over here and they walk to the mine. So those are my miners. This one I label as training because it's the next closest one to the village. And so all these people, they need to get their skill up. I've got a few that are at a 3, so I would generally actually just hit X to fire him, fire you, and fire you. 3 is where I'm trying to get them to at minimum. So now I got to find a new place for them to train up whatever their skills are lacking. So I label that as training. These I label as me just because for one of the achievements, you need to have a mine in every place, and it also lights up the mine, so when you actually are manually mining, it makes your life easier. But I don't want to send workers to them because they're really far away. This one does have a couple workers because I just needed to put extra miners because this one was full. So actually, I'll fire them because it's really far. I don't think the distance matters. The output's the same whether they walk all day to get there and immediately turn around because it's bedtime, or whether it's 1 foot away and they walk there, work all day, and then go home. The output right now in the current game is the same. So I'll move them to the actual training one. Herbalist. Let me talk about herbalist. So I've got the herbal one up here in my workers area, and I've got what I call the potion maker here. So this one up here will gather flowers that you need. This one right here will turn them into potions that I sell in the market. Excavation shed. Again, it's just, this is a dirty work, digging in the mud job, but I pretended this person is like a pottery master and they have a big house. So that one's in the city. This one's out in the middle of nowhere. Just the way I feel like pretending when I play the game. Now, training. So these are people that got to get their herbalism skill up or their survival skill. So I have training places. Survival skill takes forever to train. So initially, I had like 8 of these herbalist huts, just all in random places, all full of people training. For skills, where's my skills? So extraction's pretty straightforward. You put people in a mine or a lumber mill or whatever. They chop and it goes up at a pretty steady rate. So in a season that's 3 days long, your standard season, I think they gain about 1, on average, 1 skill. So in a 30-day season, they could gain up to 10. Hunting, roughly the same. Farming, roughly the same. Diplomacy, they might gain like 3 skills per day. It's very fast. It depends on how much stuff you have to sell. One time I had somebody selling tools, but they had like a 1 skill, and they were only selling like a half of a tool per day, even though it was at 100%. Because some of the tools that are more expensive, they just, even if you put it at 100%, you might sell 1 per day. Whereas meat, if you put it at 100%, you might sell like 300 per day. So that person was not gaining skill. So if you put them at somewhere where they sell a lot of stuff, cheap stuff like resources, like meat or like stone or something that you have a lot of that's like cheap, they'll sell a lot of it and they'll jump up like 4 skills a day. So that one's actually the easiest one to level up. Production is pretty straightforward, same as the other ones, about 1 per season, 1 per 3 days, they'll go up 1 skill. Survival, it might take at least 2 to 3 seasons to go up 1 skill. It's like ridiculously slow. Fishing is even worse. So that's why I have a ton of herbalists going at once to get that skill up, because it is the worst. And in fact, for most people, I stopped at 3 at that skill and might have went 4 or 5 on every other skill because they were way faster. Yeah, so that's a word about that. So that's why I have 2 of these right now, only 2. For hunting, same thing. I've got my training one. I've got my hunting lodge up here in this part of the city where I've got 4 people hunting. I've got my supposed leather worker who's just gaining leather that the tailor would end up using. Farming. So I need to upgrade all these barns. This one's not built. I just started a new farming area up here, so that's not even built. But these are my main 2 barns, and I haven't upgraded them yet because I didn't really need to, but I'm going to go do that soon. And then I have this training one. In production, I've got all the places people work, and as we saw earlier, I've labeled these for beer and plates, wine and bowls. I've got 3 taverns. This one, I didn't know what to call it, but they kind of make a mixture of stuff. This one pretty much makes all beer and mead. This one makes all wine. I think this one makes a little bit of wine, a little bit of something else. But anyway, I've got the training workshop where anybody needs to get their training skill up will go work. But since I've got all these people now that need training, this is a good time. Let's see. So this guy could use mining. Oh yeah, I did kick some miners out. Let's go. So I'll scroll down and I'll put him in the training mine. And you don't need to see me do all those. Just let's see, one more. So this guy is pretty good except for farming. So I'm going to put him in the training barn as a farmer. And actually, let me look at that training barn. So this person can get fired because they're already a 3. Okay. So I've got them all training, and I'll go through the others later. One thing is, so this is what I call the workman's area, the poor area, whatever. All these houses are labeled. These are all your miners because they got the furthest to walk. So I wanted them to be as close to it as possible, which doesn't matter, except I just thought it would be cool to do it that way. So these 6 are all labeled as like miner 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I got like a well digger right here because there's the well, and then like a kitchen guy, and then a couple hunters, whatever. And you see I got the hunter, excavation, herbalist, whatever. So all these things are here. A couple storage sheds. And then I was going to build some new houses here, new farming area right here. I don't remember where I was going. So anyway, that's how I divide these up. So these houses all are a 3-person house because they're cheaper, and they all only have 1 person in each because I don't want them having kids. Because, now I remember where I was going with that. I don't want everyone having a kid because when you do that, you end up with a whole bunch of mothers at once, which means you're missing, right now I'm missing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 workers that could be doing a job or producing something. And they're all mothers at once. And then I've also got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more pregnant. At this point, I'm good because I got so many people and I'm set up. But if you had like half your people pregnant at once or as a mother at once, Well, I guess pregnant doesn't matter because they're still working, but if you had that many mothers at once, you're going to really struggle because you're not going to have any kind of production or resources. Now, so if you sort by mood, this is convenient. The people with green all have a nice house and a good job and whatever. The people in yellow all have a crappy house. So these are all people that are either new or unskilled, working a job that sucks, living in a house that sucks pretty much. So if let's say that all these people are new, I just recruited them all. As I'm going through it, so let's say this guy, he's 32 years old, and his skill probably here was actually a 2 earlier, but he's been mining for a while, so it's higher. But like, his stats are not good. I don't want to put all this time in, because if you're playing 30-day seasons, it doesn't matter. But if you're playing 3-day seasons as standard, he's gonna be like 40 by the time he's good enough to have kids by stat. So I don't care about him. I'm never going to level up his stats. I choose a job for him. So he lives in miner house number 2. He works in my mine, and that's what he's doing until he dies. This guy, same thing. That stat was probably only like a 1 or a 2 earlier, so his stats are not great. 29 years old. I'm just going to leave him as a hunter. Hunter house number 2, working in the hunting place. I'm going to leave him alone. This person is 21 years old, young enough that they'll be in their mid-20s by the time you get their stats high. And that's the kind of person I want to move into the main city in the way that I do things and put into a real job later. So they're training probably. Actually, they live in Farmer House 2, and they're working at the farm. So maybe they're not. I can't remember every person because there's like so many of them. I got 80 people. But just in general, somebody of that age, or let's say this guy, 23, is young enough that they'll still be not too old by the time their stats are high enough to have kids. So I'll probably put them in training, get all their stats up to a 3, and then put them in a bigger house and give them a wife later on. 26, 25 is where I say I'm not going to worry about you unless you get somebody that's like, say, 26 and their stats are like all 3s and 2s. It won't take too long to get them leveled up, so I might work with them. So it gives you an idea of how I pick and choose in the way that I do things. Because again, you got to have a lot of people living in a house with only one person. Otherwise, you're going to have too many kids, too many mothers, too many pregnant people at once, and it's going to hurt your city a lot. So I'm about half and half. Half families and half single people. Let's see. So let's go to farming. A couple little tricks about farming. It doesn't matter what food you have. People live just off of meat only, or you could have only cabbage. It doesn't really matter. If you want realism, then you'll have a variety of foods. But it doesn't really matter what you grow as long as you have enough. So this is my training barn, and this is my training field. There's no crops. So what I do is I destroy it, and then I place another field. In this case, it's a 10 by 16 just because it fits here. It doesn't really matter what size. You want it to be big, though, because, shoot. Well, whatever. We'll do 9 by 16 this time. I misaligned it a little bit. You want it to be as big as possible because that gives the training farmers more squares to hoe, and that's where they get their skill points from. So in this training barn, I actually have to come over here and do stuff. Delete this, replace it, delete it, replace it. You could just have a field here, but the crops are not going to grow every season, and you may have some seasons where the farmers are doing nothing, and that would defeat the purpose of the training. Now, for me, I like to have, so a tip for building, keep your hammer in your hand and keep it on destroy because it gives you a nice outline of where everything is already laid out, as opposed to like if you have no hammer, I can't see as well where this is. And even if you keep it in build mode, well, there's no build on this, especially on the field, so destroy is better. So I like to place a road between each field just to make it look nicer because I don't like the look of like random pieces of grass popping up between my fields. So if you put the other field right here, that gap right there in the middle, all the way down, is going to have tufts of grass, and I don't like the way it looks. If you go, so if you want it to line up, get your stick, line up with that stick, and go over 1. That's the closest you can get it. Go over 2, but a road will not fit there. Go over 3, and a road will fit. Now, I can lay down whatever will fit. Now I can lay down my next field. Now it's better to lay down your fields first, then the road. Otherwise, you might get into a situation where you have to delete the road, because as you're stretching this field out, because your road might end up being slightly crooked, boom, right there at that point, you like scratch the edge of the road, and it won't let you build the field, which is a real pain, because then you got to destroy the road and then replace it. So I think it's better to do as I showed you. Again, with fields or orchards, same thing. Line it up, go over 1, 2, 3. That'll give you the perfect spacing that you can still put a road and have it lined up evenly. And then when you do the road, it'll fit in a wide area, but try to get it right down the middle, all the way down to the other side, right down the middle. As far as the way roads line up, I like to start it right between the sticks, lined up even with that, because then the road edge is relatively flush. That way, when you lay a road the other way, like if I go, where's the minimum? Right there. It won't do it. Minimum plus a little bit, it'll do it, but if that road sticks out right there just a little bit, then you'll get the red. You won't be able to lay the road, and it'll end up being like angled a little bit. So if it's really long, it'll start to be more and more noticeable. Because this should lay like, say, right there, but if that road sticks out a little bit, it may make you do it like right there, and then the road will be crooked. Okay? So again, like when you lay the road, it's good to do it right flush with those sticks as much as you can. And same thing here. Right about there. That way when you come this way, so if I wanted to go the road on this side, I would actually line it up flush here with that spot. That way it'll be pretty close to even right there. But anyway, little tips and tricks on spacing stuff. Go 3 clicks over whenever you're putting a field down, a new field next to it. Let's see, other tips. You gain no skills during the nighttime. Early in the game, if you're playing 3 days, it might be nice to work all night long. That way you can get more done. But if you're talking about villager skills, they gain nothing at night. So as soon as you can possibly sleep, as soon as they stop working, you want to go right to bed. That way next day they can gain more skills. And you gain more materials because they don't gather at night either. An example of what I was talking about earlier, I did not space these. These are only 2 over, and you cannot put a road here. There's a little spot right there where it says you can, but it won't let you place it anywhere. You can't actually put a road here. So now I'm stuck with this ugly grass. Hey look, that grass even comes into my field. How annoying. All this grass. Some places it doesn't look too bad, but when you start getting like all these weeds growing up like this, that just really looks bad to me. And the only thing I can do about it is destroy all these hop fields and replant them, which will be pretty annoying to do, although I'm going to do it at some point. And I'll have to destroy these fields too, because again, these are all like a 2 over and a 2 over. Road won't fit between it, and then you got all this ugly grass in between. Like that right there. Why is that in my field? So annoying. I think these are a 2 over as well. Yeah, so I'm going to have to destroy all these or leave them if I can. I don't even come over this area, so I don't even look at it. One note on all these hops, they're crooked because some places these lay out diagonal in relation to the road, and you can't change the angle in the current game. So I've got this annoying angled field right here. So for these, what I did is I started, let's see, I think I started with this field just to get the spacing, for an idea of the spacing. And I think I started like maybe right here, right? Oh wait, let me get my hammer out. It'll make everything look better. Alright, so I had this field laid out. So then I came here and I went 1, 2 over. So that's where I started my thing. And I clicked it and I dragged it all the way to the road. And laid it like right there, right? Pretty obvious and easy, right? Now to get these, so these aren't really lined up, right? But if you look at it from another angle, they are. You see it from this angle, they're all lined up and spaced nice, if you're into that kind of thing, which I am. So now, for the second one, I went 1, 2 over here. Again, dragged it all the way down here. And I stopped at the road here. And for the most part, I tried not to get into the road. Like you can see that one's in the road. That one's short of the road. So this side's not even, but the other side is. And they line up in these rows this way. So it's kind of annoying to lay them when they're diagonal like that, but you can still make it look nice. But I have a lot of orchards because that one's a 1, that has 2, that has 2, 3, 3, 3, 4, 4, 4, 4. So all those hop orchards are separate, which doesn't really matter. So you can see I've got 9 fields and I've got like 20-something orchards. These last 4 are at the house I'm building for myself. I'll show you that in a second. And then some of these are... Why does it only have 1? Oh, those are the ones at my house. Oh, these are the new ones that I haven't finished yet. So all these right here only have 1. I just laid out cherry trees in front of my house to make it look nice because you can't add too much decoration currently. But you can see here, that one's got 12, 12, 16, 16. And then these are all my hops, 8, 7, 6, 1, whatever. It doesn't really matter because the orchards pretty much just tend to themselves. So you don't really have to do anything or have the farmers do anything. I guess I haven't talked about skills. You can get a potion, I forgot the name of it, but there's a potion you can get which will delete all your skills so you can replace them. So early on you might want to take like, gain more experience from doing stuff, and then later on delete it because there's no point in gaining more experience. But if you never want to have to mess with deleting it, I just skipped that. Especially since I'm running like 500% skills, skill experience, just to level up quicker. Because once you played this game, this is like my 3rd or 4th big city, plus other games that I started and deleted and started again as I learned stuff and realized what I was doing was dumb. So I've played this game a bunch of times and started all over a bunch of times. I don't want to sit there and wait all day to gain the skills at that point, so I just set it high. I put 2 barns next to each other because these only hold 4 horses or something. So the way I did it here, animals. So this stable right here has 3 adults, and they'll have a baby, and then I move the baby over here. And then once they both get full, I'll just start selling them. The pigsty is a good example. It's full right now, so I'll just go ahead and sell this one. 1,200 gold right there. Sell the oldest one, and so I've still got 4. Oh, Master of Diplomacy, nice. My cows haven't bred yet. I don't know how long it takes them. This is my first cow thing. I don't usually build all the animals. If you think about it, a village isn't necessarily going to have everything if you're trying for realism at all. So I usually just do sheep for wool and milk, chickens for feathers and eggs, and then obviously a horse for walking around. and a pig for a manure that you can use for fertilizer. So I haven't had cows yet, so I don't know if I didn't have a worker here for a long time, so I don't know if that was a problem or if they just have to get to an older age before they breed. I don't know, but they haven't bred yet. But anyway, for realism, in my case, I put a big fence all the way around this area where the horses go, and I put 2 barns next to each other. Not really that important, just something I like to do for space. Sometimes I put 2 pig places, but honestly, I have way more fertilizer and manure than I'll ever need just from like 3 pigs, because I've only, even really 2, and I've got 3 big ones and 1 little one. There's my cows, they haven't bred yet. Oh, barn workers. I have like 2 barn workers, and they cannot keep up. I have to manually do a lot of that. No, not that one. Here. So I've even got 3 barn workers here. So they're making 41 animal feed, which is enough per day. And they're making 41 fertilizer per day, which is enough. These right now don't have resources because it's like they haven't been planted or harvested yet or whatever. But it's taking them forever. They take a long time to make these grains. So if you take oat and then you thrash it or whatever, you get the oat grain. It takes them a long time to make those. So I have to manually do that. Yeah, I think that's about it. Usually at a tavern, I like to build like a seating area, but for me, realism-wise, this is nothing but the winemaker's place. It's not really a tavern per se. Hey, oh, look at you. I'll buy something from you later. So here's the house that I was making. This will be the last thing, I think. I just put a stone wall all the way around, which I don't have enough stones for yet. Big flat area. Oh, and you can see the trees. So I made these 1x1 orchards, and again, they're diagonal, which is super annoying to lay out against the road. So I laid this road first to line it up, and then, so this is like really annoying. I had to delete and redo them a lot. So if you kind of eyeball it, the thing is the starting corner, it's like you can't click here and then drag it to here. Sometimes you can, but you can't always get it. So like the angle that it goes, like if I were to click here, okay, I can get it that way. Oh, maybe I'm just dumb. Okay, never mind, pretend I just didn't say that. Anyway, what I was trying to do specifically right here is get them lined up in the way that you see. So I would have to eyeball it. So if you see, right here's on the edge, but if I go down 1, it's off. On, not good. Off, on, not good. Off, and then on. So I kind of eyeball it and think it needs to go about here, but I don't want to click there because I can't. I don't want to click there because it's too far away from the road, so I click here. And then when I drag it, I get that much space, which is about what I wanted. That one's a little skinnier. Let's see. That one's a little skinnier. That one's skinny. That one's a little fatter. So it's not perfect, but as far as like the, you know, they're lined up with this road pretty well, but not exactly perfect. You see, that's a little bigger gap than that one, but it's diagonal. You can't change that angle right now, which is annoying, but it is what it is. Once those grows, I'll have like a row of cherry trees going on either side of the road with that fence all the way around. This would be like my estate or whatever. There's not too much decoration. I might put a well over here just for decoration or something. But I did put a little, for convenience, you need to have a shed next to you, so I put these kind of like out that gate. Food, materials, well, and wood cutter. That way, right outside my house, everything is not too far of a run. So you need planks, so you get them right there. All your materials right there. If I need water, I go from there, get buckets, there to the well, fill them, put them in the food thing. So, anyway, that's the end. Thanks for watching.